Da, 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 da. Howdy, everyone. Caveman here. Went on a diet, shaved my beard. All right. Now that the shock and awe is over, very exciting discovery. So I know I've mentioned a few other resources that upon discovering them, I declare them to be the most important thing that I've come across, and in fact, everything is its own individual piece. The three pivotal books, though, historically that I've mentioned was Cosmo Sapiens by John Hands, which technically I didn't finish. I need to go back to that. The Answer by David Icke, and then working my way through Vibrational Medicine by Dr. Richard Gerber. They have all been lodestones in understanding everything, and I cannot overstate what I mean by everything. The totality of truth. Heavy. So, what did I just come across? Well, I actually found it a few weeks ago, but didn't get a chance to do a deep dive. Of course, synchronistically, ran into someone I hadn't seen but once before, talked about something, and he told me about the Deep State Mapping Project. You can go look it up. It's authored by one individual, Dylan Monroe. I encourage you to look at it, buy some of the art. To preface what we're going to discuss here briefly is this is high level shit. And I don't mean that in a way that it's classified information or that most people can't or shouldn't be exposed to it. It's the idea that if you just go look at this and you haven't been on some sort of journey to discover a better understanding of truth, this is going to be not 0 to 60. This is going to be 0 to fucking 500. It's not going to make sense, and your paradigms are going to get blasted in the face with confusion and probably cognitive dissonance. That being said, I would be remiss not to mention it because his work is freaking crucial and his artwork is phenomenal in terms of how he has taken ideas and then created them into posters and maps. So there's one about Q, there's one about COVID, there's one about health. His latest and greatest is all about energy. And if you were to look at these and pore over them, these are little treasures where you can bypass a lot of stumbling in the dark and have all the topics readily listed for you and organized in a schematic to start to see connections, and then you can go do your research from there. To sum it up, it's all the rabbit holes, okay? And we don't have enough time to do them all ourselves. That's why finding other people is so important. So, the artwork notwithstanding, which I'm going to throw this out here, I plan on collaborating with Dylan. He has so much to offer, and I see some great potential with some content ideas that Travis and I can work on. But the meat of it, the nuts and the bolts, is he also has a codex. So this was, as I read it on his website, supposedly some communications, some transmissions that he received from out there. Okay, this is where I'm going to start to lose you all. If you don't already believe in anything, superhuman, superliminal, paranormal, God, whatever, then you won't be able to accept this. And I can't remember the guy's name. I've listened to him on a couple podcasts. He'll receive, messages, and it comes in really fast, and then he slows it down and he speaks it again. There's no way these people can be faking it, because if they are, they gotta be some of the most creative, badass motherfuckers out there to do this, and to do this so quickly. Granted, Dylan's was over the course of time. All right, this is the other hard part. The transmissions, and there's, I don't know how many there are, a few hundred, and they're in like short paragraphs. They're all almost written as questions, and the styling is very similar to that of what was put out on Q maps. Okay, you're gonna have to bear with me with the Q thing. If you have any misgivings about our president, you just gotta put that on the shelf. If all you know about Q is an association with our president and Trump, and that makes your skin crawl, I need you to put that on the shelf, because this is bigger than him, and I would hate for, I know, this small little detail about who he is to prevent you from an exploration of truth. And all I'm going to say to bolster that is, Trump is merely a facet of Q as understood by those that understand what the Q movement is. Q is bigger in terms of a cosmic disclosure, if you will, of truth. And Trump happens to be one of the folks that is publicly associated with it. Okay, so just put that on the shelf and think of Q in terms of a cosmic disclosure. Okay, the Galactic Federation. I know I'm losing more of you with every word that I speak. The content of the Codex is what's got me so fired up. I mean, there are passages that have me crying, to say the least, because they're just questions. There is so much for us to question, and if you're just tuning in to the journey of truth, if you're starting down in the food and exercise part of things, then all this mind stuff and cosmic stuff and God stuff is going to seem like pretty far out there. But I'm going to summarize it real quick. Pretty much everything you know is dog shit, is wrong. Yes, there's a shred of truth in everything. That's how it maintains some coherency. But by and large, we've been fed lies, lie after lie, year after year for a long time. And we'll go through the sequencing of that later. The content of the Codex is not for everyone, but it's for everyone to eventually get to. And what I mean by that in terms of, if it's brand new to you, it's going to be very hard to digest. The questions on it range from things related to current events to very, very historical events. Think, Egyptian times, Babylonian. Is asking frequently, who were these people? And most of these things get lumped into what's known as conspiracy theory, even though when you break it down, conspiracy is really analytical thinking, trying to apply logic to an otherwise confusing situation, as opposed to having dogmatic beliefs shoved down your mother effing throats, by and large is what religion is. And yet there's a shred of decency in religion. So I'm only halfway through the codexes, and it's jaw-dropping for the amount of questions that it raises, and the realization of the work that we have to do collectively to wake each other up to the reality of what's happening and the oppressive control that we are experiencing, by and large, unconsciously. There's a handful of us that believe we understand what we are really capable of individuals, and what they, will just use they as evil actors, the bad guys, what they are doing in terms of controlling us for their own gain. And I tell you this, when you start down this path, it is a positive feedback loop. Yeah, there are moments when it becomes overwhelming. That's when you got to take a step back, breathe. Remember, What you don't know can hurt you. And the idea of sharing any of these concepts and these probing questions is not to breed fear. If something makes you concerned, that's when you got to kind of take a step back. It is to bring awareness to the situation so that we can move forward in the right direction. So, once again, his website is called Deep State Mapping Project. It is a lot to take in, but if you get your hands on those materials, you're gonna start to see. Even if you don't agree with the stuff, you can't ignore the questions that it's posing, and they are vast, numerous, and they're all trying to lead us back to truth. Because, in my mind, there is nothing more important than truth. And those that seek to muddy the waters of that, those are the ones you got to watch out for. All right, this has been a long edition of the now baby-faced caveman in the car.